I have got a set of 3 pencil twin tip spark plug. So I'm going to replace the spark plug in this video. So firstly, we're going to need to remove this air box, and we're going to unclip this for on this side, just like this. And then we're going to release the hose here and the intake there. We just squeeze these two together, and then lift the air box up. So we have removed the air box, and the next thing to do is to remove the coil for each of them. And we have a 10mm bolt. We need to remove the bolt and then lift out the coil. And this is the wiring, so we can unclip this and remove that way. So look at this plug. This is the clip. You try to press it down while you're pulling off. If you look at the coil side, so this will catch into this hole. You see, here we have the square hole, and this in the middle of this will just catch in there. So when you press down, and this side will be up. So before I remove the coil, you should try to clean here, and then use the brush and a vacuum hoover just to get as far as possible all the dirt and the dust around this area. Make them loose. Then you use the vacuum hoover. Make them loose, and then use the vacuum cleaner to clean them. So here is my vacuum hoover. So I'm going to use, I'm using this one, and that's getting smaller. And also I have a McDonald's straw. I'm going to put this straw into this end of the vacuum hoover like this. I'm using my hand to block the other side like this, so I have a thin long tip getting into the coil area to get the dirt out. I also use screwdriver and kitchen towel and try to clean again. And after that, I'm going to use a vacuum cleaner to hoover all the dust out. So now you can see they are much better, cleaner now. So I'm ready to remove the coil. I'm going to undo this 10mm bolts to remove the coil. So coil bolts are supposed to be, I think, 8 Newton-meters, but it's rather tight. I couldn't use this to remove it, and I have to use the ratchet, and it's quite tight while I was trying to remove, and even this move a little bit while I'm trying to loosen the bolts. So after the bolt removed, it seems the coil is easy to lift it up. So just like that. Yeah, there's some oil things. I will clean that oil out. So after the plug removed, you can still see some dirt around. So we couldn't clean before we remove the coil. So I'm going to try to clean here around and maybe hoover inside before I remove the plug. Now I use this McDonald's straw and vacuum hoover. It's smaller, and to hoover the spark plug again inside. So the straw gets into the area around the spark plug, so I hoovered all around the area. Now I'm ready to remove the spark plug. I don't have a very long extension. The hole is rather deep, but I got the spark plug socket, and I have a 3/8 extension, and I have another 3/8 to ½ inch converter, and I have a brick bar. I think this should be okay for me to remove the spark plug. Yeah, it's not too short, so it's still a little bit above, so I would be able to use the brick bar to remove the spark plug. And I don't have a ½ inch ratchet either. This seems not very tight. At least the first plug is not very tight. I just use this so I can take that out. So K16 HR U11. This is the original number for the spark plug. The newer one I'm using is KH16TT. Now I have taken out the spark plug. Look at the gap. It seems a rather big gap. It is an original factory plug. At least the factory fitted this type of plug. So these are the 3 plugs removed. If you look at their gap, I definitely think they're rather big. It's about, I think it's about 2 millimeters. If we pick up one, you see. So that's a rather big gap. So have a look at the gap. I think it is about 2 millimeters. I think its gap is too big. So it's about 2 millimeters. And the specification said it's 1.1 millimeters. So this is a newer plug. It's a twin tip. So from the Denso website, it says you should not gap the twin tip plugs, just install directly. To install the new plug, so we just take it from the box and take out this protection plastic tube and put this into the spark plug socket. And then we can lower this into the hole and make it finger tight. It's a lot of turns. Yeah, until it's finger tight. So because this extension not long enough, the no space for my torque wrench to be used here to connect here is very low. So instead of using a torque wrench, I'm going to use this tightened spark plug by turns. You can see on the case of the spark plug, it's saying on the left it's saying this is hand tight. So on the left hand, see here, the finger tight, and then you're going to need to turn it a quarter to half turn, between quarter and half turn. I'm going to just use a quarter turn. So I have got it finger tight, and then I'm going to make it quarter turn. So because I can't use my big torque wrench and I don't have a ½ inch ratchet, I'm going to use a brake bar. So on my brake bar at the end, there is a hole. I can get a screwdriver into the hole, so that I'm going to turn quarter turn with that. So I'm going to connect this end to the socket. So this is how I connected the brake bar to the socket set and to a screwdriver and turn it 90 degrees to half turn. So after put the plug, tighten the plug, just put the coil over the plug and make sure this bolt tight enough. It should be, I think, 8 or 9 Newton meters, but I don't have the smaller wrench, torque wrench here. I just tighten it just by feel. It's don't need to be very tight. So next, do the same to the next two coil and spark plugs. Now we have got all the 3 plugs replaced and the coil put back, and this has been tightened. And now we can put the plugs back on. Just you see the clip, you see this small clip. Just to try to push until you hear the click. That, like that. So put them all back and then put the air box back. So now I have put the air box back and this 4 clips on, and also have a final check around this tool. This is the crankcase ventilation. So this goes to the bottom of there, and also look at that. The intake, air intake, is at the bottom, fully in position.